So my guest today is Paul Raimon Massey. He's an ex-soldier, an ex-mercenary, and now he is a coach specializing in supporting entrepreneurs, changing their mindsets and helping them grow. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. There's some military in my family, so I'm looking forward to digging in with Paul and hearing a little bit more about what it is that he's done, how that's shaped him, and how he's now using that to support those entrepreneurs. Paul, great to have you here. Thanks for joining me on this session. I've done a little bit of an introduction there, but we've spoken already a little bit, before I set this recording going, and you mentioned you signed up at the age of 16 and, you were out of the army at 21, but I'm guessing there were some things through training or the experiences that have ended up sticking with you, have shaped you as an individual. Maybe it's the regimented structure to certain things. I know, I'm a Navy brat. Both my parents were in the Navy. My father-in-law was in the army. Are there some things through that whole process that you now recognize have shaped you in how you approach certain situations? You mentioned, being a mercenary as well. Interested to understand that.
Yeah. Well, Philip, thanks for having me today. I joined the military actually because I got brought up in a very, very traumatic childhood in quite a poor area in London by my stepdad. I didn't know he was my stepdad at the time, but it was really, really abusive and really, really tough. So the army actually was escapism for me, believe it or not. So I actually found training really, really easy because it was actually easier in the army than it was at home. And that probably paint a picture for you. But really, the army really taught me discipline. It taught me consistency. It definitely helps you overcome your fears. I mean, that's something they really, I was a boy soldier, so I had to do 21 weeks rather than 16 weeks. And that's turning a boy into a man, if you like. That's what they sort of say. But yeah, it was tough, but I sort of already had a coping mechanism, if you like, for toughness. Like I say, my home life was much harder than the military. But the army sort of definitely say, show me your war face, and they get you doing abseiling and canoeing and all these things that somebody's got a fear of drowning, somebody's got a fear of heights. So what they try to do is expose all of your fears straight away. And obviously at the time, you just don't really get it. In life, what it helps you do is overcome any challenge because it makes you believe you can overcome anything.
Nice, interesting. Yeah, I suppose that's an interesting way of going about it. It's like, you have to front up on your fears straight away, work through them, whatever they may be, so that you can
Absolutely.
come out the other side and actually be more effective as a soldier, as a colleague and as part of a unit. It's interesting to hear that because, a lot of people get stuck thinking about the fears that they have or the risk of something in front of them. It's one of the things I talk about in my 12 chains model. So to almost be thrust into that situation where you've got no choice but to work through it. Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that.
I think it's the only way to overcome fear. I have to be honest with you. I don't think there's a secret recipe. I think you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Growth can only be found in discomfort. It can't be found anywhere else. If you're scared of public talking, the only way to overcome that is to public speak. It is that simple. If you're scared of heights, go and jump off a bridge. That's the only thing that's going to help you overcome that fear, because you will realize it's actually only a chemical reaction in your body, and it's only your mind creating a fantasy. It doesn't actually exist. A fear is a false experience that appears real.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things I talk about and put it into the book, skydiving. So yes, I've had a fear of heights, which is silly because my dad's been a pilot. So I understand, how everything works with the plane and all that. And it's just that, actually now you're leaving the plane, you're leaving the safety. Oh, what's that mental image? Oh, well, it's going splat. Is that likely to happen? No.
Apparently that's the only fear you're born with, apparently, is falling. The fear of heights. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Falling. Yeah.
But I went through it. I did a skydive. Amazing experience. Loved it. So it was just that mental image that I'd created of what
Absolutely.
might happen that was holding me back.
Yeah, for sure. It's all in the mind.
So talk to me about Somalia. I guess the change that you went through, the perspectives on life, situation that you were in, to, I guess,
Yeah.
where you are now.
It's sort of where I ended up because I actually had my own fine dining restaurant. So going back to my childhood really quickly, the one thing that my stepdad really managed to instill in me was the fact that I'd never amount to anything. Are you a man or are you a mouse? You're too stupid to accomplish anything in your life. And that ended up being a huge driving force for me. And I ended up running the #1 fine dining restaurant on the Isle of Wight, which I had for 3 years. And I was a self-taught chef. I just had a massive hunger in my belly to achieve something. But actually, it was coming from a very negative space because I was only actually doing it to prove my stepdad wrong. And it doesn't matter how successful that business was, it wasn't really resonating in my mindset that I was accomplishing something for myself. I was doing it just to prove my stepdad wrong. So I ended up massively burnt out because I really wasn't taking care of my mental state, my physical state, my emotional state. I just kept going 90 hours a week, not having any time off. And I was massively, massively burnt out. When I closed that restaurant, I realized I needed to do something different. So that's when I went back to my army roots and I joined, became a private military contractor. So I was self-employed, working for multiple companies, essentially a mercenary. And basically I was working on cargo vessels, super yachts, any vessel sort of going around the Horn of Africa, the high risk area, just protecting those from Somali pirates, essentially. It's calmed down massively. It's not like it was in 2008, 2009, where a lot of ships were getting sort of hijacked all of the time. It was much quieter when I was doing the job, but obviously I didn't take away from the fact that what if, it could always happen. We always saw pirates in the water. It's not like they weren't there. They're just a little bit more savvy to actually take on a vessel that has 4 British armed security guards with tons of ammunition and tons of experience. So they're a little bit wiser than that. So they just pretend to be fishermen for as long as they possibly can, waiting for that 1% to go through so they can attack it, hold it to ransom and get millions and millions of pounds. It was a great job. It ended up being a little bit boring in the end. Perhaps I was looking for a little bit of danger. I guess, I had my midlife crisis quite early on. I was looking for something, and what ended up actually happening was I really went within myself, removing myself from society, being in the middle of the ocean where I didn't have all these normal pressures that people have. And a lot of my insecurities and fears started sort of presenting themselves to me. And what I'd done with that was I started meditating twice a day for 20 minutes. I started reading self-help books, which I read 100 in the course of 2 years. And I started working out pretty hard. And I found this sort of connection with my mind, body, and soul. And I essentially became a captain of my own ship. My confidence just went through the roof, something I never really had before. I just sort of recognized, that the power was within me. And actually, it was more to do with mindset than anything else.
Amazing. And now you're on that journey of helping others. Talk me through that. Or is there a process or a model that you take people through, based on your experiences? Have you created something, or is it just, being that support mechanism and helping them see situations from a different perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I run 2 hotels as well, £5.5 million empire. And actually, I found myself still waking up depressed. And I was like, what's going on here? I'm earning good money. I've got a Tesla on the drive. What is going on? And actually, what I realized was it's not about money for me. That's what I thought it was about, because that was what equals success. And that's what would prove my stepdad wrong. But actually, I still felt massively unfulfilled. And that's when I really started looking into coaching. And what I'm looking for is a job of purpose, not money, but purpose. The money will come at a later date. I just really want to help people. I know what it feels like to feel like shit, and I just want to help those people. So what I really do is, as I just explained there, was the mind, body, soul. The first thing I do is work on my clients' routines, because I believe that we set ourselves up first and then we give the remaining energy to our business, the remaining energy to our friends and family, but we put ourselves first. And what I try to do is structure a morning routine with this mind, body, and soul. And then what I try to do is just sort of attack any sort of things I might be holding them back, like self-sabotage, self-belief, positive thinking, mindfulness, resilience, anything really to do with mindset. But I always really start with that routine, because I think we are the sum of our routines.
Nice. And so what does that morning routine look like for you personally?
I meditate every morning. I try to read a book every single day, because I'm always looking for those gold nuggets. You know, those self-help books changed my life. I think meditation silenced those negative thoughts that I was having in my head that was sort of making me lack self-belief. And the books really gave me new perspective. You know, every time I picked up a book, it was like a new gold nugget, and I can almost just feel my brain being rewired. It's no different to the first time I listened to positive affirmations. I actually cried because I realized I'd never had that many positive thoughts in my head before. You know, I'm in the middle of the ocean. I'm muscly. I'm surrounded by special forces all over the world. And I'm sat in my room crying my eyes out, listening to I Am Good Enough. It was crazy. But if you don't know you're not having these thoughts, you don't know you're not having these thoughts. And I just realized how negatively wired I actually was. And it was actually affecting every aspect of my life. You can't change what happens to you. You can only change how you respond. But I try to do something for my mind, body, soul every morning. So I work out pretty hard. I'm always going to the gym. I'm always trying to find new gold nuggets from these self-help books. And mindfulness is the absolute cornerstone of wellness. If you're not meditating, you need to get meditating. And a lot of people are scared of that because they think it's very spiritual. But it's actually scientifically proven that it does something beneficial for your brain. It's not just a humbo jumbo, I have to believe in Buddha. You know, it's a case of actually doing an exercise for your brain, no different to doing an exercise for your body.
Yeah, and I think we have both read Vishen Lakhiani's Code of the Extraordinary Mind, and his 6-phase meditation.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I do. But he also
Yeah.
talks in the book about the power of gratitude, the power of forgiveness, and how that helps rewire your brain, and actually the positive signals that it can send through the rest of your body as well. So yeah, interesting to hear you say that.
Yeah. I mean, the forgiveness part, I mean, I've done that. That was the first thing I actually done. I mean, I never met my real dad. My real dad was an alcoholic. And he decided to punch me in the nose when I was a 6-month-old little baby, blacked both my eyes, nearly broke my nose. My mum left him at that time and then got with another abusive guy. She had a type, I guess. Where was I going with that? So basically, so what was we saying then? I forgot.
Just the meditation, the type of meditation, and forgiveness as one of the key
Oh,
key elements.
the forgiveness. Sorry, yeah, the forgiveness. So, I basically phoned my real dad and my stepdad, and phoned them and said, I forgive you for what you done to me when I was a child. The craziest part is it was a bit of a flip reversal. So it's the first time I actually spoke to my real dad, and all he wanted to do was blame my mother. And then my stepdad, who was really, really horrible to me, was like, I get it. Thank you so much. I can live lighter. You can live lighter. So it wasn't what I expected. And I still don't have that relationship with my real dad. I'm not sure I even really want it. But forgiveness is huge. I could actually feel that it was hurting me by holding that anger for both of them. So I just phoned them and I let it go, So yeah, forgiveness is huge.
Nice. Yeah, it's interesting. Again, that morning routine, a lot of people look at it and go, I haven't got time for that. But obviously, the flip side of that is if you work your schedule to create the time for it, actually, it can make you feel good and fuel you for the rest of the day for whatever then may come in front of you.
You can't fill from an empty cup. And that's what most human beings are doing. They don't really realize that, it's back to that growth mindset, fixed mindset. Growth mindset is the belief that we can make ourselves better through information, so our brain is like a hard drive. You are responsible for what you put on that hard drive. No one else is responsible for that. And you can delete and you can empower your own thoughts, but you have to recognize. When I meditate, I always say, I am not my thoughts. I am the watcher of my thoughts. I recognize my brain as a machine. I have a soul inside me and I have a machine inside of me. And if I let that machine dictate the course of my life, it's going to be an unhappy life because my brain is programmed to think I have to go out there, earn money and be a people pleaser. but actually we're born in this world alone and we're going to die in this world alone. There is an element of selfishness to my style of coaching and my routines, because I believe we are the sum of what we are, and we are only what we put in every orifice in our body. We are what we listen to, we are what we watch, we are what we speak about, we are what we hold in our minds most of the time. If you see it in your hand, if you see it in your mind, you'll see it in your hand. And I do believe in manifestation, that sort of stuff as well.
Nice. Interesting phrase, the selfishness. That's, again, sort of a general, I guess, thoughts that people have is like, but I need to do this for the people. If I don't, and I just take care of me, or if I focus on me, that's selfish. But the flip side of that is, if you don't focus on you and you break down, you burn out, then actually you can't help anybody else. You can't serve.
You're useless. Exactly. Them. Yeah.
So it's,
and absolutely. Guess... And the thing is, working on myself led me to become a coach. So I believe that by working on ourselves helps us to help others more. But you certainly cannot fill from an empty cup. You must fix yourself first. You would not try and drive a broken car. So you need to fix yourself first, and then you'll be way more effective in helping others.
Amazing. And so onto the topic of entrepreneurship. So you said you've been an entrepreneur for a long time. Obviously, you had the restaurant, you now got the hotels, the coaching side is the new thing for you, and what fills you up. It's about supporting people and helping them on their journey, and that purpose.
Yeah.
What is your long-term vision then? For me, obviously, I'm trying to help people break through the chain so they can find freedom in their lives, whatever that may look like. What does freedom actually mean for you?
Freedom is to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, and ultimately not to turn up to a conventional job daily, making somebody else rich. I'm building something for myself, and I think all of our ancestors were entrepreneurs. And I think that is why most people are unhappy nowadays, because they're getting up in the morning and they don't really have anything to work towards. You've not got to go and collect water and chop wood and start a fire anymore. So we've lost our inherent purpose. So we can get up every day and think, I've got nothing to do today. I'll just sit here and watch TV the entire day. It's just crazy. But for me, I'm ultimately trying to create freedom for myself. And that is why I've started an online coaching business. My plan is to be living in Bali in a year's time. That seems to be where all the coaches are going. I don't know why they're going there, but I guess it's just removing ourselves from the crazy Western society, I guess. But yeah, I'm looking for freedom for myself, where I don't have to turn up to it. I've made a lot of people rich in my time, and it's time to actually just create something purposeful for myself that just generates enough money so I can live a more simplistic life.
Nice. Simplistic. Interesting you say that, because it's like, you work through support of the people, but actually it sounds like if you're going to Bali so that you can strip back rather than chase, the cars, the houses, the planes and all that sort of stuff, which are just material things. You'd prefer to try and get back to simplistic lifestyle of getting up, walk on the beach, support a couple of people, chill, watch the sunset, have some good foods. That's it. That's what it sounds like to me.
Sounds like heaven on earth to me. I think, this life, you can, I don't think there is heaven and hell after we die. I think this is it. I think you either live in heaven or hell right now. And that's to do with your mindset. You either empower those positive beliefs that allow you to live in heaven, or you're going to allow those negative beliefs to keep hammering you down and you're going to live in hell. So it is a choice, but just most people don't realize they have that choice.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a choice. And what's one tip you would give to someone who may be feeling like they're in hell now, that, they're stuck, they're frustrated with the way things are going? What would be that sort of first action or tip that you would give them?
First of all, you are not your thoughts. You are listening to a machine that has not been programmed by you. It's been programmed by everybody else, but not you. I would argue that if you're feeling that way, you're not being your authentic self, and you're listening way too much to that negative thought in your head. Start a meditation practice. It only needs to start with 5 minutes. Recognize that you're not your thoughts, and just recognize the genuine insanity of your own mind. When you start sitting in silence, you're going to hear all sorts of mumbo jumbo that deep down you know is not true. And actually, you need to rewire those thoughts. Every time you have a negative thought, replace it instantly with exactly the same positive thought. Journaling is a great one to sort of introspection, to sort of find out how you're truly feeling. There's something about putting things on paper. I think when it's in your mind, it's so easy to stay in the fantasy. It's almost like you're watching a film. The second you put it onto paper, you can actually really challenge it and say, is this true? Do I actually believe this? And then you can sort of change the story. You have to get it outside of your head. You can't just keep going over it and over and over it in your head. And obviously, again, this is the mind, body, soul thing, I guess, but again, move your body. I think when human beings stop moving their body, they get depressed. It's scientifically proven. The second you stop, you're going to get depressed. Keep moving your body. Find an exercise. Only has to be 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. And it can look like anything. It can be a walk. It can be lifting weights, whatever you enjoy, dancing, whatever you enjoy, just do that every single day.
I like that movement one. It's something that I realized for myself, as we were going through the lockdowns, and I started doing the personal development afterwards, and making the notes. It's like, what do I want to do more of? And it wasn't hardcore exercise, but it was like, actually, I want to get outside more. I've been in an industry where I sit behind a desk and a machine all day because, the video games industry and doing that sort of stuff, creating presentations and spreadsheets and all the fun things. And it's like, I hardly spend any time outdoors. So I then set myself and it's like, right, let's try and walk a couple of days a week to the golf club, go and sit and chill and just space out for a little bit and be with my thoughts.
Creature. Yeah, you're a creature of this planet, but we lock ourselves inside little brick houses. It doesn't make any sense. It's no different to the fact that we wear shoes on our feet all of the time, but we're electrical beings, and actually we're never grounding. Our bare feet are never touching the floor anymore. My philosophy really is turn yourself into a caveman, because our ancestors were certainly more enlightened than we are. We've got more information than we've ever had before. We don't really know what to do with it. And actually, I think we've lost contact with the earth. And that's why we're so lost as a race.
Interesting.
Get outside more, basically.
No, that's great. And again, it's something that I've been trying to do for myself, because I've seen the positive benefits of doing that. I have
absolutely
just started back in the gym. It's taken a while, obviously, because I'm conscious of the injury that I've had. Is like, don't put too much pressure on it. Don't, weight bearing stuff. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? What should I not try and do? So I'm just easing my way back into that. Dancing, you mentioned it, amazing. There's a good song on. I will get up and dance a little bit and move the body. And that's something that, if we take it from a health perspective, talking about that lymphatic fluids that, goes around your body, cleans all the cells out. You need that movement to support that, I guess, rejuvenation of everything inside your body, your immune system, and, being able to fight all the nasties that try and get you. And if you have that sedentary lifestyle and you just sit all day, then you're actually not doing your body any favors. And again, that's something that I took to heart after doing an Unleash the Power Within online event for Tony Robbins. It's like, what? Nice. I went and bought my trampoline. It's in the other room, and every now I'll just I'll go and do a little bit of bouncing and make sure I'm moving. So it's like, okay, that also makes me feel good at the same time, because there's also a childlike essence to it of, I'm just bouncing up and down because I can. It's great. And I may not do it for very long, but again, it's one thing that makes me feel good and gets me out of whatever situation I was in before.
You don't have to do it for a long time, do you? You don't have to move your body very much to actually get that instant benefit. Again, all that information is out there. When you look at these rich and famous people and conventionally successful people, you see that they got bulletproof routines, whether they're jumping in ice baths or whether they're going for a run or they're working on their mindset. Sometimes all that information that we need is there. We just don't want to accept that that can also be us. Again, that's back to the limiting belief, whether that be a lack mentality or money is not for me or success is not for me. Actually, you'll find that the people that have gained success are just following some sort of routine, some sort of system. And most wealthy people have coaches. It's almost like a secret that's starting to come out now. Is like, why are some people achieving all of the time? What you don't know is they've got someone making them accountable for the life that they actually want. That's what coaching is all about. And coaching is becoming more widespread all of the time. It's the fastest growing industry in the world at the moment after COVID. And that's because people need coaching, because we know what we should be doing, but we don't do it. And it's that simple. We need someone to say, this is what I want to achieve in my life. And I need you to make sure they're going to kick me up the bum once a week and make sure I'm actually going to do it. We have to create the life that we want by design, and it can be done. We are creators of our own life.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's accountability. It's an interesting topic, because it's like some people will go, yeah, but hang on, I've got a spouse or a partner or a business partner. It's like, yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the type of relationship and that objective view to keep you accountable. You may be too close to that person. They may be too close to you to be able to support you in being accountable, because you may be like, stop telling me what to do. Sometimes you need that person who's a step removed, who is looking at it through a different lens.
Yeah, it's almost like we're blindsided to our own weak spots. It's like we just keep going through our daily ventures and not really realizing that we're self-sabotaging ourselves. We just don't even realize we're doing it. I think most human beings are just not prepared to stop and slow down. And I think that's what it's all about, is find a time in your day when you can just do you. Your body is not stupid. It's a very, very smart machine, and it knows if you're constantly running around in circles. I mean, if you was the caveman, what would sitting in silence with your eyes closed tell your whole biochemistry? It's telling you that you're safe. You're telling yourself that something's not going to attack you right now. So actually closing your eyes is sort of, it's making you very, very vulnerable, but at the same time, you're safe. And I just think people are just stuck in survival mode. When you go to a board meeting, it's the same chemical running through your body as if you're going to fight a saber-toothed tiger. Your body is just trying to be helpful, but it's actually being really unhelpful.
Yeah, interesting way of looking at it. A boardroom and a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah, I can understand that.
It's the exact same chemical, but we get in our heads so much about something that's not actually life-threatening to you. Going on a podcast or going and public speaking, it's not actually going to kill you, but your brain wants you to believe that you're going to die on that stage, you're going to die on that podcast, and it's just trying to protect you.
Yeah, I guess
the brain.
If we can recognize that, then that's how we then start to make changes and work through those situations. So it's, if you mentioned it, take some time in our day, take a step back, maybe close our eyes, just sit with ourselves and recognize that then becomes easier to make all of those changes.
Absolutely. Like I say, I think you're mostly unconscious of how badly you're speaking to yourself. If somebody else spoke as badly to you as you speak to yourself, you would knock them out. We are so cruel to ourselves. It's unbelievable. And you're the only one that's really ever going to have your back. You need to build a relationship with yourself. We spend so much time building fake friends on social media. Why not build a friendship with yourself? Because that actually will change your life.
Amazing. I think that's a perfect ending point. Thank you, Paul. How can people find you, get in contact with you, understand more about your journey, your life story? You're on Instagram. Where else are you?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and the brand new Threads as well. You can find me quite easy, Paul Raimon Massey, spelled in quite a unique way because my mother's Spanish. So it's Raimon, Paul Raimon Massey. Yeah, if you want to have a chat with me, just get in my DMs. I'm more than happy to have a chat. I want to help people. That's why I'm here. And it's so great to have a job full of purpose.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Paul.
Thank you very much, Philip.